the son of Paragus, don't you die over arrogance, cause once my temper's flaring, this battle could get embarrassing. Hercules in the chariot, get me steamed and I'm burying anything that's causing grief to any being that I'm cherishing. Daring them come stop us, I swear I could one-shot you. I'll punch you like Umbach, but I'm more than a done monster. I'll stop you, so easy, you'll need more to defeat me. Either Goku and Vegeta need Gogeta to beat me. For Sheezy, you can't see me, move sharper than the ceiling fan. No, my moves is sharper than the disc that's leaving Krillin's hand. Kakarot and Little Man, that was just the middleman. Frieza ain't safe either, on God, I'm ready to kill a man. Power was my curse, cause since my birth I could hurt, and this anger makes me berserk, and once that happens, shit is worse. An unquenchable thirst to murk these little jerks, so all I really ask is don't push me first.
Hi, please subscribe and go like the video. So, let's get into it. So on this one, Deku will have lots of chi, like he'll have more than Po, which was basically the Dragon Warrior. The Dragon Warrior, so he has more chi than Po, which is a lot of chi, and he'll have more than Master Oogway, of course. And so then he's walking down the alleyway at the age of 4, and they have to go to the store like their father did. Yeah, like he got in an argument. His mom got in an argument with his father about stuff. I'm gonna just say child support, and like he says, "Son, I'm gonna go get some milk," and he never came back. And so I'm sorry to tell you, sorry, but that's what happens. And so then they get stopped by a robber. Like, what? And he puts a gun at Inko's face and says, "Give me your money, woman." And so then she takes his wallet, but then Deku, wanting to become a hero, attacks the robber. And then he punches him. And he accidentally uses chi and punches him. But then the robber is about to shoot Deku. But then Inko pushes both of them to the ground. And then the robber, angry, accidentally awakens his quirk that he didn't know that he had. He had a hidden quirk. Like the quirk doctor said that he had a quirk, but they don't know what the quirk is. And so now they're like, what? And so then he teleports Deku, not knowing where he teleported him. And so Deku got teleported to the spirit realm, right in front of Po and Master Oogway. And they're like, "Young boy, what are you doing here?" And this is Po when he died and moved on, so he already had his kids and stuff. And so he's like, "Well, I got," and tells him the whole story, and they feel bad for the little boy. And so they said, they ask him, "Well, what do you want to be?" And he says, I want to be a hero." And they say, you want to be a hero, kid?" And they say, "Yeah." And they ask, "Well, what's the power in you guys' world?" And he says quirks, and tells them all about it. And Master Oogway is taking the front on it because Po's kind of dumb. And so Po and Oogway say, "Oh, I see." And so now they train Deku. And so Master Oogway and Po train Deku to his fullest. And Master Oogway tells Po about his potential being more than you and all predecessors that became before us, and the predecessors that you have trained. And they're like, "What? How is that even Po's like, how is that even possible?" And so they're training Deku to his full potential. And so Deku meditates a lot, and he learns all styles of stuff like Taekwondo, Kung Fu, of course, because it's called Kung Fu Panda, like Kung Fu fighting. Dun, 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 dun. I'm sorry. But anyways, he goes to train with them, and he's learning a lot. He learns how to make symbols like with his hands, like Poe and Master Oogway can, and he knows how to use chi. And they told him, "Well, you have basically unlimited chi, so you can use tons of those." And like Deku's yin and yang is like very strong, and so they're just training him basically, and so they trained Deku for 14 years, and so when he turns 14, they give him a birthday present. They give him Poe's staff slash Master Oogway's staff, which is the yin and yang thing, and so they teach him till it's the summer for Bakugo in their world. And so then they say, young one, you have to go off, become a hero like you wanted. And Deku also knows how to manipulate chi on his body and can do all that. And so they said, we'll always be in you. And you can always meditate to us, young one. And Deku nods. And they did not give him their chi yet, but when Deku gets in the situation, they will. And so now he goes. And so he goes to his mom and says, "My young Izuku," and hugs him, squeezing Deku tight. And she says, "I always had faith you come back." And so Deku says, "Yeah, Mom." And so then she tells him, "Well, the UA exam's coming up soon." So, and Deku says, "Oh, okay, Mom." And so Deku knows like a lot of stuff from Master Oogway being wise, and he is he uses Poe and Master Oogway's personality, and so he messes with his opponents, you can say. He makes them angry at him, and he can just basically get them mad and just troll them in the fights, basically. Always making their opponent mad. And Master Oogway and Poe tell him, if you get your opponent angry, they're clouded by their thoughts. And when they're clouded, they can't attack properly. They can't knock you out or try to kill you properly. So you just have to mess with them and get their mind clouded. And when you do exactly that, you have won the battle. And so Deku's like, okay, so he gets that personality. And so he goes. And so he goes to school, and like everybody's like, "What? Deku?" And Bakugo mad. And so Deku's just calm and chalant, and then Bakugo learns Deku wants to go to UA and says, "Deku, you're never gonna go to UA. You're just a quirkless loser." Because Izuku found out that he was quirkless before he got teleported away. And so Bakugo, just angry, tries to burn Deku's notebook. But then Deku just takes it and goes behind Bakugo. Bakugo trying to explode him behind him. But then Deku says, no, calm down, Katsuki. And so then Bakugo gets angry, and then Izuku's just jumping around the place, just saying, "You're gonna have to hit me harder than that to kill me." And so Bakugo says, "Deku, I'll kill you." And so Deku says, "You can try." And so then he just burst out the room, and Bakugo's chasing him. Then Deku goes into the restroom, and Bakugo follows him. Then he just dips out of the stall while Bakugo is like right behind him, and then Bakugo hears a footstep, and then Deku pushes him into the wall and just takes off. And so he's walking under a stall. Then he gets stopped by a person. It's the sludge villain. And so Deku's scared. well, not scared, but he's like, what? And so he summons his staff and then makes a huge Japanese symbol and hitting the sludge villain. Then he just makes like a dragon, like poeted, and then puts it all into that sludge villain, that like making it like unable to move. And so then All Might gets there and sees that the sludge villain is already basically captured. And so he says, "Good job, kid." And so Deku says, "Oh, thank you, All Might." And so then he goes home, and All Might goes home too. Nothing happens, but for plot reasons, I'm gonna just say, I'm not gonna get Deku one for all. Too overpowered. And so All Might drops the bottle. Then Deku comes, and then he sees Bakugo and smiles, but then he jumps up in the air above everything, and then he makes a big symbol, a Japanese symbol, and then he slams it, like kicks it into the ground, makes all the fire disappear, and then the sludge villain gets off of Bakugo, and Deku tosses Bakugo to the crowd, and then All Might arrives and says, "Do not fear, because I am here," and says, "Detroit Smash!" making the sludge villain disintegrate. And so then he goes home. And so he tells Inko that he will be training for 10 months with his friend in the mountains. And she says, "Okay, Ziku, be safe." And so he goes. But he actually goes to the spirit realm for 10 months. And then, like, how is he going to do that? So you know how Post said, "Skadoosh"? He basically does that with the staff, because it is like an embodiment of Master Oogway and Po, so he can do that. So he says "skadoosh," and it makes him go to the spirit realm. And he masters his staff, without a doubt. He masters it, and he also masters all like his styles, and he can use his chi more, gaining full cowling. And Po and Oogway are intrigued, saying, "Whoa, that's pretty strong. You can cover your whole body in it, making like an attack." And this full cowling is at fifth. Like, it's not really full cowling. It's like it, you could say. And so that's what happens. And so then Deku next day goes to the UA exam after the 10 months. And so then he goes in like the attire that Po has in the picture, if you can kind of see it. It's like that, but in a way lesser size. Po, that's why they do call him a panda. Panda. Okay, with all serious, it's the UA exam, guys. And also for Road to 1000, there will be longer videos, so that's why this video is longer than normally. And because I normally rush my videos for like 15 minutes, but I'm gonna just relax now for 1000, just ease into the video. It's much easier for me. And so now let's get back into it. And so when he gets there, people just look at him like he's just some Japanese warrior. And so he smiles at people. And so then he goes to the UA exam. He passes first part with ease, and Bakugo just says, "Deku." And so then he goes to the robot part. And he doesn't trip like original. So, because he has confidence. He's confident in his abilities, because Po and Master Oogway praise their student. They say, "Young kid, you have tons of potential." Like, literally Deku's potential can easily take out Kai if you watch Kung Fu Panda 3. And if you haven't, I recommend you watching it. You can watch it on YouTube TV if you have it. And if you don't have it, go get it. I'm not plugging for YouTube. I'm just saying you can watch movies there. And so, but if you want to give me an advertisement, I'm always open. And so now he goes to the fighting portion. So he covers his body in chi, making full counting, and takes out his staff. And he's so fast that Tenida can't even see him. So he's just swiftly taking down robots easily, cutting through them with his staff. And so then he's just taking down every robot, getting 85 points. And so now it's the 0-pointer. So he sees the 0-pointer and thinks, he looks pretty strong, but I can take him down. And so then he sees Araka, and he picks her up, and then he hands her to Ida, and Ida takes her to the end of the gate. And so Deku and Ida says, "What are you doing? Come on." Then Deku says, "No, I got it." And so Ida thinks he's a psychopath, but he doesn't know. And so he kind of watches. And so Deku just coats his body in chi and then jumps up, making all that chi go into his staff. And so then he does like what Master Oogway did, but with yin and yang. And so, I think it did do the yin and yang, but it's a really strong yin and yang symbol. And like it's huge. It's like the size of the whole arena. And so then the robot tries to punch him, but then it's too late. And so then Deku kicks the symbol down, and then it hits the robot, destroying it, disintegrating it. And so then Deku floats down like a god. And so people think, what? And so Deku just smiling like a god. And so they're like, this kid is crazy. And so now Deku just looks at them and just is smiling like All Might. And so he passes and he gets in the letter 2 weeks. While he's meditating, his mom runs into his room. And then he was talking to Master Oogway and Poe about his life and stuff. And they said, cool and stuff. And like Poe said, I had a rival too. And Master Oogway says, rivals are good. But like my old friend Kai. And tells Izuku already knows the story. Master Oogway says, your best friends or your rivals can be clouded by evil. So watch out. Your friends does have some evil traits of his. And Deku says, yeah, Master Oogway. And so then he opens up and he says he passed. And so he meditates right to Master Oogway and Poe, and he tells them. And he says, okay. And so Izuku and his mom have a celebration. And so then he just meditates for the 2 to 3 days or like week he has, and just trains / talks with his teachers. And so then he goes to UA. And when he goes to UA, he sits down, and then Araka confronts him, and Ida, same things happens. But then Bakugo confronts him and saying, how'd you get first place? And let me tell you, Bakugo got one for all on this one. I forgot to tell you. Yeah, Bakugo got one for all. But that doesn't really matter, because Deku will be stronger. And so Bakugo says, how'd you get first place, Deku? And Deku just smiles and saying, well, I am better than you, right? And then Bakugo gets mad and tries to blast him, but then Aizawa walks in and says the same thing. And then Araka says, well, complains himself. But then they walk out. So Aizawa says, Izuku, what did you get on the ball throw in middle school? He says, I got like 50 meters. And so then Aizawa says, well, here's the ball. Throw it with your quirk. And Deku says, okay. Just throws the ball up in the air. And then with his fingers, draws a Japanese symbol. And then he draws another one with it, combining them, learning that technique. And then he says, oh, like Shinwan Dende or whatever. Shinran Tensei or something. And then he says, burst, and then kicking it. And then like doing a backflip, and then lands, and then they see it go like 100,000 meters, like almost going out of the atmosphere. And they're like, cool. And the same thing happens. And Deku gets first place on everything besides the grip test because that weird guy or something gets a better. So Deku gets first place. And Momo Yadorozo gets second. And Bakugo gets third. And Shoto gets fourth. And no, Shoto didn't do this one actually. And so Bakugo just angry attacks Deku. But then Izuku just dodges and just jumps up high in the air and says, bet you can't catch me. But then Aizawa stops Bakugo when he was trying to explode up there. And so people say, he can jump up in the air. And yes, Deku can float in the air using his chi. He can, but he has to keep a good balance of his chi in the air, which he can do for like 30 minutes. And so that's good. And so now it's the heroes versus villains, and Deku always tells Poe and Master Uge about his day because they're really a strong figure in Deku's life, like actually. And so now Deku's going actually, and so he sees goes and he gets put on a team with Araka, and his hero costume is like really cool. Like it's basically like old Ojiro's but way cooler. And so his actually has all the stuff that he had because he still does have full cowling, so he does still want those things, and he's learning how to use his legs to hit people onto the ground and smash them into the ground. Getting really good with it. Being able to keep on like kicking people to the ground, and so he has the same things. And he also has Poe's hat thing, which just makes him look mysterious. And so when he faces Bakugo, All Might is looking at his pupil. And he also is wondrous about how Izuku got first place. So, because he thought that Bakugo for sure was going to get first place, because Bakugo did get 100 points, but Deku got 150. So how did he get 50 more points than my pupil? And so then Izuku goes, and so then when Bakugo attacks, Deku dodges, smiling and saying, "You're gonna have to do more than that to hit me, Bakugo." And then he says, yeah, you can't hit me, huh?" Then Bakugo does that big blast, and then Deku is just behind him and saying, "Guess what? I'm not there." And then kicks Bakugo away. And so Bakugo just angry right now. And so then Deku sees this, and so he takes out his staff, and then does a Japanese symbol, and then making Bakugo fall to the ground, very hurt. And so then Deku just comes at it. Then when Bakugo tries to blast him again, Deku just comes behind him with blinding speed, and then chops his neck, knocking Bakugo out, and then ties him up. And so then Uraraka is in battle with Tenya Ida, but then Deku appears with a swift knee into the gut, and he hit Ida with his staff. Like, you know how the third Hokage smacked like Orochimaru with his staff, with like the Enma thing, and that's what Deku basically did. And so people are impressed with Deku's like strength, and so they're like, Deku, you're strong. They're murmuring the thing, and so Deku just smiles, and so Tenya Ida attacks them, but then Deku jumps up in the air, and so Tenya Ida can't get him, and so tries to use his reciprocal burst to jump up, but then Uraraka touches him, making him float, and so then he's just in like an air battle with Deku, but then Deku getting tired, just messing around with Ida, not really affecting Ida, you could say, but still making him kind of angry at Deku. And so then Deku just smacks him to the ground, and Tenya's still floating, kind of. But like he hits the ground like on his back, but then he does a reciprocal burst up to Deku. Then Deku was making a yin and yang symbol, and he tells Uraraka to watch out. This is gonna hurt him a lot. And then shoots it at Ida, and bro, it knocks Ida out, and hurting him a lot. And so he says, "Sorry, Ida, but I had to." And so ties string around him and then touches the bomb. And then All Might says, "You pass." And he was like, All Might's interested in this kid. How did he easily just take out his star pupil with literal ease? Like, literally, Deku just destroyed Bakugo. Bakugo didn't even land a hit on him. And, like, Bakugo was also using full body, he calls it, but it does nothing because Deku, when he uses his full counting, is just much faster. And so, All Might's thinking about Deku, like, how's he so strong for a for a person that doesn't even have one for all? And so now Deku just goes, sorry for that voice crack, but anyways, so then Deku is goes and Momo Yazurozo says Izuku Midoriya is MVP because he showed that he was always focused on the goal, while Tenya Ida was focused on having a villainous act. Because in this one, Tenya Ida was in the he was in the villainous act in original, and so, and she also said, and Katsuki Bakugo was clouded by a anger or a rivalry with Izuku, and she says, which I think it may be a one-sided rivalry because it looks like Izuku Midoriya was just playing with him. And then Bakugo is there because he didn't get knocked out, and he's just angry. He says, he made me lose. He's ruining everything. I'm supposed to be the strongest. I have All Might's quirk. And just is popping out explosions, but then All Might stops him. And so now they go home, and Uraraka talks to Deku about how cool he was. How cool he just took out Bakugo with literal ease. And Deku says, oh, it's nothing. And so then he tells his masters, and Poe is just laughing. And then is on his stomach laughing. And Oogway says, I'm very proud of you. I'm very proud of you. And so Deku says, thank you. Because Oogway is like his grandfather and Poa is like his, like, you could say best friend or like master basically. So then he goes to UA next day, and since Ida was knocked out, Aizawa tells him what happened about how Izuku was MVP, and Bakugo just gets more mad. And at the end of that day, All Might confronted Bakugo about getting mad, and he said you should always calm your anger. It looked like your anger clouded your judgment, which made you lose that fight. And so Bakugo's just angry that Deku is ruining everything for him. And so they have normal school that day and stuff. And so now, a few weeks or so, people make Izuku class rep. Then the press comes. And so Deku this time, not knowing that it's the press, jumps up with his key and then lands on the top. And like he just is floating in the air. And he says, calm down. It's just the press. Go back to your classes. And so they actually do. They call him Flying Boy or something. Yeah, the Flying Boy. And so now they go to the classrooms and they have to go to the USJ, Aizawa says. And when they do, he says, get ready. And so on the bus ride, they say, Izuku, what is your quirk? And Izuku says, my quirk? It's, you could say, energy manipulation. And every life force has it. But in this one, everybody who's quirkless can turn that energy into, like what Deku can. But anybody who has a quirk, that energy is their quirk, if you understand. So they can't use it, but like they could manipulate it into their quirk, but they don't know that. And Poe said never teach Bakugo or anybody this, and Master Oogway, because it could be really bad. And Deku says, we'll see. Because literally, if Bakugo had this, he may turn bad. Because of Deku. Angry with Deku. It's all Deku's fault, he thinks. And plus, you have like 1 million times more chi than all of them anyways. And so Deku says, okay. And so now they're at the USJ. And then there's villains. Like, what? There's villains? And so Deku just is in his battle form. And so then he sees tons of villains. And so he says, I got this, Aizawa, with one blow. And so he makes this giant symbol. And like Shigaraki and Kurogiri just back up. And then he kicks it towards them, knocking out half the group. And so Aizawa says, thank you, Izuku, I got the rest. And so then Ida goes, and so then Kurogiri teleports them all away. And when that happens, Deku is literally walking on water like Jesus Christ. And like, they think that Izuku's Jesus right now. Frappian. The little guy, Mineta. So Deku, it's like the same thing, but this time Deku just uses his chi and makes like a dragon and kicks it towards them, and making the same thing happen with Mineta throwing balls at them. And so now when Izuku arrives, the monster is attacks them, but then Deku kicks it away. But then now it's beating down on Deku, and then throws Deku across the concrete to the UA building. Deku coughing up blood, regenerating himself, and so then he gets Poe gives him some energy and some other masters of chi, and so then Deku gets into the dragon form, and then Shigaraki says, "What are you?" That could do the same thing that Poe did. Am I a master? Am I a student? Am I a son? And then he says, I am the Dragon Warrior, because he's the new Dragon Warrior. And so then he just goes down on the Nomu, just bodying the Nomu. And then he says, "You want my power, you say?" Because Shigaraki says, join us, you're way strong." And so Deku says, "You want my power?" And so then he makes like a ball of like basically almost all his chi, which is massive. It's like literally like a spirit bomb. Then throws it at the Nomu, and the Nomu tries to take it but can't. And then the Nomu gets disintegrated by all the chi, and Deku jumps down pretty drained. And so All Might appears and attacks Shigaraki because he didn't lose any time. And so then Shigaraki and them run away. They can't face All Might and that kid. And so they're like, "How is that kid so strong?" And tells All For One this. And All For One, I have something. Shigaraki will be Kai in this one. And Kai will be in there's this thing called a demon realm, and All For One been there. And so he starts teaching Shigaraki chi. And so I might just have to leave you on a cliffhanger there, which I will, because I'm a savage. And so sorry, but I just have to. But I'll tell you what that happens. So then all the heroes get there and nobody's there. Everybody's knocked out, and they says, and Aizawa says, thanks to Izuku Midoriya, a lot happened, and the press saw everything, and so they swarmed Deku, saying, "Good job, kid." And so they're like, and so like the whole world sees this, and Inko sees this, like not the whole world, Japan, and so then Inko's proud of her little baby. Says, "Good job, my Izuku." And so then Izuku goes home and tells Poe everything, and he says, "I was the one who gave you some of my chi. It wasn't all my chi, but it was some to help you." And Deku saying, "Thank you, Poe, thank you." And he says, "No problem. I am your master after all." And Deku hugs Poe like in the Mindscape, and Poe hugs back. And so now Deku eats dinner with his mom and goes to sleep. And so the next day, people at school saying, "Izuku, you're so cool," and stuff. And Bakugo can't take it anymore. He's so angry. He says, "Izuku this, Izuku that, saves the day this." And so he can't take it anymore. And so he lets off explosions. And then Todoroki's more intrigued into Izuku more too. He's saying, and he said, he's very intriguing. And that was my timer to for me to stop the video. I'm sorry. But that's it for this one. Please like and subscribe and share and like the video. And I hope you like these longer videos because they're more and better content, you could say. And if anybody wants to help edit my videos, I'm always open. And tomorrow will be What If Naruto Had a New Genkai. And next week or later this week will be What If Naruto was know what if Deku was the reincarnation of Jubito. And so this is it for this video. Go to my Instagram Nexus_Sonic, and if you don't, I don't know what's your problem. I really don't. But that's it for this one. See ya, guys.